What's up, this is Nak3d Eli, the mostly unclothed gamer, here with a world record legendary speedrun guide for the Oracle. This was the first ever sub 14 Oracle done on legendary difficulty on Master Chief Collection. I've been streaming to get a PB for the longest time on my stream, and then I wanted to have a perfect run for you guys. You'll see that there are some flaws here. This run can be improved upon, but as of the time of this post, this is the fastest ever that Oracle has been done on MCC on Legendary. So, starting off, we're going to do a cool little jump sequence here. We're going to head up, take out the glass panes, and notice how glitchy the room is. Also, I want to mention why I killed the two grunts initially is that normally the grunts will come in here and freak out when they see the heretic, and that costs 6 seconds of dialogue. So we're going to avoid that by killing them. However, you need to do it just as I did it in this video. Otherwise, sometimes, and even if you do it with this method that I showed you, where you're sort of leaving the room as fast as possible, your elites might turn on you. And if that's the case, you can just restart the mission. Alright, now here we're going to play a mini game with the popcorn flood. And so you kind of hope that you get a bunch of spawns inside this little box. That's the easiest for you. But this position, you can also see those far ducts in the back. And then sometimes you can turn around and look down on the bottom. Usually this door will open around 130 to 140. Here I had a really early spawn. Notice I put the carbine right by the door so we could just head on out. And this is the earliest that I ever got out of the popcorn room, which was I think 126. Or 127 is the split. Alright, so here I find that starting on the left side is a really safe way of doing this. I jump on the elevator immediately to cause the elevator to go down immediately. I think that the trigger here is once you're on the elevator, all of its gears start turning so they can start to descend. So that's why instead of playing it safe and sitting back by the door and killing the sentinels and then the flood, I decide to go in on the left side, sword one or two of the flood that are chilling there, and then take out the rest of the sentinels and flood. Then you'll notice that the sentinels spawn from up top, so you can take out the next 3 or whatever that come out. And then the rest of this elevator ride we're doing in classic. The whole elevator ride we'll do in classic because it's much easier to see the enemies, and it's also brighter. I'm definitely a big fan of bright screens. I don't like when the room's all dark and you guys can't see anything. I can barely see things. And for some reason, when you render videos or stream the content, dark things show up even darker. So I think it makes sense here, even though it's not the super pretty graphics, it makes sense to do this part in classic. It's also slightly easier to get the headshots on these guys. So we'll just do it in classic, and then I'll switch back to anniversary graphics once we're off the elevator. Now this elevator ride is the bane of every Oracle runner's existence. It's an extremely slow ride, and there's just flood that come pouring in. I don't think that your kill times on the flood influence how fast the elevator descends. I think it's just time. That could be wrong, but that's, from my practice runs, what it seemed to be. And then we're gonna, all flood forms have heads, so we're gonna try and shoot them in that little area where the big tentacle is sticking out. Tentacle faces. So once we do that, there's going to be 2 rotations on the elevator. As you just saw, that was 1 after we've started to descend, and then there's going to be another one around the 4 to 4.5 minute mark, and that is when we are going to hide in this location and then do a pretty cool drop to skip the rest of the elevator. Trickers have been trying to skip this entire elevator sequence for 10 years, but no one's figured out how to do it because of the death barriers below it. The reason we can do the final drop is once the elevator starts to descend, the death barrier disappears, whereas right now there are still multiple layers of death barriers underneath us. Alright, so notice the time, we're a little bit after 4 minutes, the elevator starts to descend again, and then it's going to start to rotate here. So we want to position right here. Right here. This gives us the most cover from the fight. If you have teammates still alive, they do a really good job distracting. Normally I'll have tons of carbine ammo and I'll kill all the sentinels and the flood, but I didn't get a lot of carbine drops from the enemies coming down. So sometimes I'll lure a guy with a carbine in and then kill him, but sometimes there just won't be any carbines to even grab. I didn't like the way that sentinel was looking at me. You can activate the camo here to save the last few seconds. As soon as it starts to drop, you land on that slope to stop the timer, the death timer from the drop. and then you land right there, and then right there, and then bada bing, bada boom, we are inside a little bit early from the elevator fight. You don't have to do that. You could, of course, just wait for, oh my god, my phone is tweeting at me. You could just wait for the elevator to go all the way down, but that saves time for speedrunners. Now here, I will usually target the 2 grunts and then kill the heretic. Usually the heretic is busy fighting stuff. There he was shooting at me, making me freak out a little bit. And then you want to immediately grab the sentinel beam that's up top, kill all the popcorn flood, and then you can sword the heretics. That's probably the safest way of taking them out. Right here, if you want to be super hyper aggressive, which is what you'll have to do to save a little bit of time on this world record, is you would want to jump up to here with your camo like such, and then as soon as all 3 heretics come out of that door, you kill them all with your sword. It's really dangerous, not only because you're fighting 3 shielded heretics at once, but because of these flood forms that also come down from the ceiling at the same time pretty much that the heretics are coming down. Now the way the heretic spawn works is you can't be up top when you kill all the big forms on the bottom. That means you have to kill all the fatty forms, the carriers, plus you have to kill any of the combat forms that the flood spores bring back from the dead. So that's why you want to immediately jump out like I showed you. Notice I grabbed the sentinel beam, took out only 3 window panes, jumped down, killed the 2 grunts and the heretic as soon as I could, although I thought the heretic was dead sooner. And then I killed the fatty forms all before any combat forms were alive. So that was a really good clear for that specific part. But then my heretic clear was a little bit slow because I didn't get the jump up with the camo in time. Notice here that the classic mode is actually slightly darker and doesn't really have much contrast between the enemies and the structures. So I actually do like doing this part in anniversary mode. It makes it easier to see. Here so the way this room works is you start out with the enemies on the floor. Then you have the heretics and the ceiling flood drop. Then you have to kill all the fatties that come out after that. And then it's just combat form after combat form. So combat form is those guys who have weapons or just run around punching boxes. Call them box slayers. Because if they throw a box at you and the box hits you, then you're dead. I'm talking about these little purple boxes right under where I'm shooting right now. There are dudes who are furious and they just run around punching boxes. It's actually a really funny thing to see. Now here, I lost a bit of time because this guy got glitched here. So in MCC, oftentimes the enemies won't come down. And you'll notice that you normally will hit a checkpoint when this door is about to open. And I saw my checkpoint and thought I was done early there. So that was kind of unfortunate. Now here we will stick the heretic that jumps on the turret. And then take out any enemies that are still by the door from this position. So notice that we lost a ton of time on that split, and that's because of I wasn't hyper aggressive on the heretics since I just wanted a good no death run to get in for you guys for today, and then also that those glitched combat forms that didn't come down kind of screwed me. Now right there, those grunts don't always target you. They normally will be fighting the flood form, but if they kill him and you're still there, then they'll kill you. Right there, this is really important when to camo. There's a random number of enemies there, from 0 to 2 heretics and 0 to 4 grunts. So if there's 3 or 4 grunts, you're pretty much dead every time, but when you restart from the checkpoint, it's another random number. Right there are usually enemies that come out there. But for some reason, I guess when the other heretics are chasing you up the ramp, those guys don't spawn. That's what it seems like. Coming to here, there's going to be 3 sentinels and I believe 4 combat flood forms that we have to take out. I actually didn't notice on my radar that I did see the final guy right here under the ramp. So there he is. And then that's going to end this sequence as soon as you get done killing things. Now we go on up here. We're going to jump here. That's not necessary. You can just jump on this part from the floor. Going to throw a sticky to accelerate our pace getting up here. Again, you don't have to do that. Now, I'll usually be on the railing there when I make this jump, but that's fine. This is one of the coolest tricks in the game. Press the elevator, press it again, and then this will actually do a pressure launch, launching us up, and we will now have invincibility for the rest of the mission. I can't believe I didn't, warm you guys up to this. I didn't even mention at the beginning of the run that we're going to have one of the sickest tricks in the entire Halo franchise. But yeah, that pressure launch is friggin' sick. It's really easy to pull off. You just press the elevator button and then you make the elevator come back down and then it will launch you up and you'll have invincibility. That's literally all there is to it. So that makes this part much easier, since in MCC the enemies don't like to fight the sentinels in the flood, and that makes this part actually more dangerous than it used to be. So now we can take our jolly old time taking out these 3 cables in the room. You can hurt the cables after the dialogue ends from the shipmaster. And now we are going to have to wait 2 to 4 seconds according to my stream. 3 to 4 seconds, something around there. So I count to 3 here, 1, 2, 3, and then I drop. Maybe it was a fast 3. Either way, you need to land when, notice the floor spawns right there. That's when you need to land. Now here the gravity is weird, so you want to crouch to make yourself drop faster. And then same thing here, the gravity is going to be weird, so just crouch, 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 crouch. We're kind of like the kid from Willy Wonka who needs to fart to accelerate his pace downward. That's what's happening right there. So here, do not jump, because the gravity is really, really strange, and it'll waste time on your drop. The only way we can really accelerate our pace here is by sorting to enemies like that. That'll cover more ground than if we were just to run it regularly. So we do like when we're invincible, especially when enemies run in front of us and we can sword to them to skip that distance. So this is that huge trick is the reason why I actually sort of enjoy speedrunning this now, is because I look at the initial flood spore section as a mini game, killing all the popcorn, and then the elevator isn't too bad. It's a bit monotonous. This jump's kind of hard. You want to aim for the corner and then turn quickly as you crouch. You'll usually hit that every time. That just saves us a couple seconds in beelining it to this door right here. And yeah, after the elevator, the only real hard part of the mission is optimizing the enemies in that room with the 3 heretics, all the carrier and combat forms. And then after that, the pressure launch makes this super ridiculously easy. Like, you literally can't mess it up because you are invincible. So we're going to run all the way to the end. Halo, it looks like we're now playing on easy. This is sort of like a platformer now. We just have to use the map efficiently and know where we're going. And hope that enemies pop in front of us like this so that we can save a little bit of time. I got naded slightly into the wall there, so that's like, what, I don't know, 0.2 seconds lost, whatever. This world record was 13:59. I think the one before that was my previous pace of 14:31, as we'll see on the rival splits. So here, camo, I usually camoed when I didn't have the invincibility. I don't know if it's better to not camo and let him see you. I don't really know what that does to his behavior. But I know that when I camo and I come up onto the ship, he's usually just chilling right there. So now notice I can see him in this tunnel. We stand on the top middle of that ship, and then we'll jump to here, and then I choked on that jump, but it's okay. It's not a hard jump. I was just being bad. And then we'll come up to here. The heretic does his little dialogue. As soon as he's done, you jump out when you see the red dot start to move. And you should hit him in the back with the sword every single time. There's also a method where you can grenade him from one of these pillars. You'll see me use it in the final sequence. And sometimes he'll like instantly disappear. But there's also the chance that he'll like ding dong around the door and won't go back in the hole. So I just took the safe method of sorting him as soon as he comes out, since this is pretty reliable for getting him to go back in. But the next world record will probably want to optimize this with stickies. And so there we go, we sort him in the back again. Once that's 2 down, then we are now in the 3rd sequence. Notice I see him up there in the tunnel. So I'm going to go this way, and then we're going to jump up to here, and then we're going to get to here. This is a more difficult jump, but not too crazy. And then he's going to be talking about gods transcended, and then he'll say, haha, come arbiter, let me show you where they lay or something. And then as soon as he starts that last sentence, you want to throw some stickies at him. So we have 4 stickies, so it's pretty easy. Right there, we kill him, he dies instantly, and notice that that was the first ever. It touched the 14-minute timer on the in-game timer, but in the end, it gave me a 13:59, so the first ever sub-14 run. Stream was freaking out, world record hype, a lot of fun. Hope you guys enjoyed the Oracle run. It can definitely be improved upon if you want to go try speedrunning it. I will catch you next time on a really fun tricking mission, Delta Halo.